Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Added Time FPL, our weekly Fantasy Premier League football podcast. It's Gameweek 5. We've had a very disappointing, quite sad Gameweek 4, which we're going to talk about in today's episode. But if you've not heard of us before, my name is Nate. This is Mike. We hope that you enjoy the podcast and stick around for the journey. Mike is a little bit sick, so you have to apologize for his voice, but he still sounds handsome.
My voice
Just raspy.
I'm working on that, that low gravelly rasp.
I'm gonna let everyone know in the comments down below. Just tell Mike how snazzy he looks, and tell me that I need to up my game because clearly we need to be more professional on this pod.
Looks like a Chelsea supporter.
1-0, we take it. But Mike, what went wrong in Gameweek 4? Like, what actually happened?
What didn't go wrong?
What worked actually? Like nothing.
It was insane, and I will definitely put this down to an early international break.
Yeah,
has
breaking
broken
that form. Yeah,
I don't remember ever having an international break after only 3 game weeks, 2 weeks of football, effectively.
Yeah,
and an early international break has broken the form guide. And we on this channel always like to say form over fixture. But then when the Premier League is messing with our form,
the formula's broken.
Which season just started, and you had players like traveling all over the world and then rushing back, and some rested, some pulled out.
Everything some was not looking 100%. Just yeah.
Did you watch some of the Liverpool game?
Yes, I did. Salah looked awful. I'm sorry to say.
He looked like he forgot how to play football.
He passing like Jackson. He passes the ball too hard. He doesn't find the gap. He doesn't have decision making. It hits you. It really does. It shows that human, except for Haaland, because he didn't play and he goes and scores a brace. Thank you, Haaland. You saved our week. But yeah, it's not easy.
I'm assuming you were just like me and everybody out there, kind of took a very big hit by Liverpool underperforming.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had Trent, Salah, and Jota, and if I needed more reason to move on Trent because of the price. But anyway, we'll not get into that. But yes, Liverpool not hauling did affect us, and those that went for Arsenal assets were smiling all the way to the point back because they have pulled ahead of us.
Yeah, I think Arsenal and Man City are. We said this early in the season, and it remains now. The proof is in the pudding, right? They're facing each other this week, and this is probably the only week where I'm uncertain. But outside of City versus Arsenal, Manchester City and Arsenal are fixture proof.
Yeah,
it seems.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. They both played for the title.
That red card on Rice changed that Brighton game. Arsenal would have won that game, and that red card was kind of controversial with the ref. Yeah. So
Let's not talk about yellow cards because don't get me started on Anthony Taylor.
Is like one of those bulls in Spain for yellows?
Hello. Yellow card.
Can I say something about that though? Just on that, I know why that happened. This is my opinion. I think that the week before, the Premier League was in trouble because the referee was inconsistent with Declan Rice, right?
So Anthony Taylor has a bit of a shit box and is I've given out a card for a soft foul. I need to keep doing it to be consistent.
Because they're inconsistent about when they give it out and when they're not. In the week, they were briefed and told, we need consistency. So this guy says, okay,
well, fine.
I'll be consistent.
Everyone will get
a yellow card.
Friggin' Oprah Winfrey.
and everyone's angry with him. Do I blame him? Kind of, because he kind of destroyed the flow of the game.
Yeah, at the same and players were now scared to take the risks and they were going to be punished for everything. And by the way, this is coming from Chelsea fans. The man that Anthony Taylor loves screwing. So just like, you should respect what we have to say about him.
And I'll be honest with you, if you take it to an FPL perspective, like, I think Jackson got a yellow card for dissent. I'm so tired of his mouth costing me FPL points. But his mouth, not his feet.
He should join WWE the way he talks so much, honestly.
So something just to keep an eye on in FPL. Are there big players that are high yellow card risks?
And Bruno Fernandes is one that comes to mind as well.
You warned me. You told me Jackson's going to get yellow cards. And my having Jackson hasn't really paid off, and to make matters worse.
Fortunately for you, Palmer has also not really done it. I mean, to be fair, I know we're diverting a little bit, but the last thing I'll say about people that are considering Palmer was a flop, I wouldn't say it because, I mean, Cook from Bournemouth, they really had Palmer in a pocket. a counter argument would be that it was nice to see Chelsea manage to get something from that game while they're marking Palmer, because Palmer is the guy that does it for us. So
This is very valuable to know. The idea is that Palmer is not going to be as prolific as he was last season
because
because
he's going to get
everybody
marked out
knows.
of the box. Yeah.
Everybody knows, which means that it might open up space for other Chelsea assets. Now, a Jackson that didn't look like he forgot how to play football as well might have been able to perform, and it took Nkunku late. Now, yeah, but we'll look a little forward at Chelsea players later.
Yeah.
What I want to know is what happened to João Pedro. It was he came back late
It was
from Brazil.
Yeah, he was going to
Recorded.
play. He was rested. He was okay. Then he didn't, and then he didn't feature. Then
Did that hurt
the
you, or you were?
the Welbeck differential then were like, people were like, yes, Welbeck, and then he didn't do anything. So it's just like a complete stuff up. As far as if Pedro hurt me, no, because I had Reece on my bench, and this is a true testament to bench depth. I had Reece on my bench. Pedro didn't start. Reece came on. Fortunately, he got himself a goal. Very sad that he got injured, because now we have to deal with that headache. But bench depth, bro, I had cover, and that saved me my game week. Reece alone saved my game week.
And so for everyone out there in normal FPL seasons, you kind of go about 4 or 5 game weeks with no bench depth until you hit your first wild card on one of the first international breaks, and then you start creating bench depth. Because of the early game week, Nate was able to create bench depth from game week 3, which helped him for game week 4.
Yeah. And that's all part of the planning, all part of the process to think about. So it's definitely also something to consider for those of you that haven't seen our wildcard video. You can still go check it out. It's still relevant, I guarantee you. But if you are going to play a wildcard this week, consider bench depth. Don't just go for the big names. Think about your team in the long run.
When you play in your wildcard, you're basically saying, I'm setting myself up for a longer period of time. Now that we know how everybody's performing, and you know that Haaland is essential, you can still now debate about Salah being essential.
Yeah.
And
speaking of Salah, just a quick, perfect segue into our next topic of midweek fixtures. Having said that, people would maybe considering offloading some Liverpool assets because of the Forest loss. I would say it's a bit too soon. And then they go and win 3-1 midweek.
Yeah, so looking at Champions League and looking at Liverpool, this is the team they started with. And the worry here for me is, and for you, Nate, is that Diaz did not start that game.
No, he came on in like the 70th minute, but I don't know if that means that he's going to start in the Premier League. Probably, because Gapco's
it probably means that Diaz is going to be is more likely to start. And the fact that Jota and Salah both started that game.
The other thing that also surprises me is Núñez came on for Jota at 60 odd minutes. Jota's early substitutions are really starting to frustrate me in FPL. Like, just let the guy sit. But clearly they haven't nailed in that number 9 position. So if anyone's going to be moving on, I think you got to consider Jota. Diaz rose in price again last night. He's now at 7.8 mil.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because he didn't play. That's an indication that he's going to do. Yeah. He could start. He definitely start. And I'm not going to be. Are you going to be shocked if Núñez starts ahead of Jota?
No, I'm going to be sad, but I won't be shocked.
Exactly. So I think we may, if we are moving on from a Liverpool asset, I'm not ready to jump off the Salah train yet.
No. Maybe game week 7 when they fixture swings, maybe, but not yet.
If I am thinking about Jota, moving Jota off, carrying on with Champions League though, if you look at the next match was Aston Villa versus Young Boys.
Chelsea should be called Young Boys. 3-0. I mean, did they outclass Young Boys? I guess you could say. The level of football was just not there from Young Boys, I suppose. But guess what, Mike? Sorry, I keep interrupting you, but I know what you want to think about. Guess who didn't do anything again?
What is it going to take for Rodgers to get even if at Champions League, fantasy, he can't get you points. And he's one of the most wonderful players to watch.
He's so good.
He just doesn't do anything for the end product for FPL. I don't know if it's just unlucky or what it is, but everybody else, look,
everyone around him.
Even Watkins got an assist too. Like all of them. So I would say the thing that is the biggest for me with this is that the Onana call earlier, about 2 weeks ago, that you made is actually proving to be better than worse.
Yeah,
it's actually because he's still even scoring in Champions League, which means that whatever type of formation they're playing, it's not forcing Onana to not be involved. He's not CDM sitting. They like maybe rotating, taking
Yeah,
turns to
box
go
to
up.
box.
He's
Very
getting
box to box.
involved in the goals, and when a midfielder gets a taste for goals, he's just gonna
They
go.
keep going. We've seen it with KDB in the past.
Yeah. So, but again, my worry is all of these midweek fixtures means how tired are these teams gonna be coming back? And Watkins had ice on his ankle, and so it's interesting to just keep in mind that the midweek could affect the minutes
The
for
weekend.
Watkins
Yeah.
with restarts.
And to be honest, Duran is the perfect player to start because he's been on form, he's been firing, he's scored a goal every time he's come off the bench. No one's spoken about him because he's on the bench, but every time he comes off the bench, he's scoring. So yeah,
If
worthwhile
Watkins
to
is
watch.
injured, I'm excited for Duran. Like
Yeah.
I'm excited to
Yeah.
see if he can do something. So he's an option as an FPL. I'm just looking now at Manchester City, who
Tough
actually
game.
drew their game.
0-0. Yeah. Haaland stayed on for 90 minutes again. Just a true testament to the fitness. I'm going to assume he's going to stay on for 90 minutes this weekend. He's just going to play.
At some point, he has to have a break, but not
just keeps
against
going.
Arsenal.
No,
but
no.
he has to have a break, and I don't know where it's going to come from.
Just a very interesting formation from Pep, by the way. Just looking at it now, he always seems to be one step ahead of the Premier League. And I think Liverpool tried to do this with Trent and it didn't really work. But yeah, just keep in mind Lewis is playing more of an inverted wing back now. So does that maybe hurt his assist potential?
Yeah, and with Rodri back in the squad, I think Rodri controls the game a lot more, which means that maybe we might see Vardy attack a little more. So I think we'll wait and see. I know a lot of people are over Vardy. Man City aren't keeping clean sheets, and this game week is probably one of the worst.
But he was never there for clean sheets, was he? He was always there for the attacking threat. So we'll have
yeah, but he didn't have any
Yeah,
attacking
he hasn't
threat
been. That's true.
until he came on as a sub in the last game and was attacking. Now it might be because Rodri wasn't there. Now with Rodri controlling the game, Vardy might have more space to run up in that wing, work with Grealish or Doku, whoever starts that left wing, and actually help. He was like a second striker.
Yeah.
So that's the Champions League teams that
kind of like Kukure.
Oh, cool.
Cup, Carabao Cup,
League Cup fixtures. The Southampton went ahead against Everton, and if I just look at the team lineups, is there anything?
Hey, look who scored for Southampton! Our bench fodder, Owen Bellis.
Oh my goodness!
Great stuff.
That's like he is still worthy. It's just Southampton are weak.
Yeah,
get beating from United.
I feel sorry for Everton and Shaw Dyke. Like, it's not looking good. It's been
nothing seems to be.
They haven't won the game yet.
Look at Mr. Leslie Ukuchukwe there.
Hey, Chelsea, represent.
Doing this thing. The interesting thing there is, guess who didn't start for Everton? And I know you want to talk about him a little later, but
DCL.
No DCL. See, this is why you guys have to look at. We're doing it for you, but look at midweek fixtures to give you an idea of who could start, who's rested, who's on form, right?
Yeah,
and that's how
the
it
best
helps
excuse to subscribe to our channel ever. So we do the work for you, so you don't have to.
Yeah. Okay, Nate, tell me about this game.
Insane. I'll watch this game.
Watched it. When you told me to turn it on, I turned it on.
I was like, Mike, turn on the game. 16, 15 penalties.
It's a record, right? It's a record.
31 penalties. It must be. That is, it was just going and going and going and going. It was crazy. It was entertaining. Sucks for Fulham, but quite happy Preston made it through just to show that anything can happen in English football and how competitive it is.
From an FPL perspective, it's actually good.
Because now Fulham has
to be rested,
exactly.
Less game week, midweek, so they can be good to go.
Do you see who didn't start for Fulham? There we go. So what does that mean?
Which means he's going to start this week. It means that you can put him straight in your team if you have him still. And if you don't, he's probably the one call from preseason that has proven to be it, right?
Yeah.
Of all the things that we said in preseason, of all the pundits have been saying, all the FPL gurus have been saying, Smith Rowe has turned out to be the one thing that we can go, yes.
Like
and honestly, he probably has lost points because of like late clean sheets disappearing.
Yeah.
We would have had even more clean sheets. But
same with Robinson, who also didn't start, by the way, who will probably be fresh for the weekend fixture.
This is great.
It's good news for FPL. This is awesome.
If anything, this gives us confidence going into the FPL week, right?
Yeah, we'll take anything we can get right now because it's been a shocker of a game week.
You don't see Smith Rowe and you know they're not injured. You go like, yeah, lekker. This is going to be it. Okay, as for United,
Wow. I mean, they had to
7-0.
win 7-0
Look at
again. They
this.
had to.
7-0. And
I'm just
even
surprised at
Ericsson.
who was scoring the goals. That's what I'm so surprised about.
Uh, okay, well, if you were looking at United this week, name one of these players that stands out to you as being an option to create points.
Rashford.
You, Rashford?
Personally,
I
because of he scored in the Premier League and he's got some form behind his back now. However, as an outside budget pick option for Garnacho, clearly he needs to be starting for United. I don't know why he hasn't been, but he should be.
Garnacho is definitely up there, and Rashford moved into the striking position for this game.
Also, just
So
don't get sorry, United fans and FPL managers, just don't let the Anthony goal elude you. It was a penalty given to him because everyone felt sorry for him. He didn't earn it. It's okay. Like, relax. He's not a pick. It's fine. We move on.
and I would say outside pick on that, if you're looking at bringing in someone in your defense, Diego Dallo had a
Yeah.
haul last week.
Yeah.
He
yeah.
had a good game this week. He was taken off as long as he's not injured. I think that if you're looking for an attacking return on the left, and at right back, sorry, then Dallo might be your man. I think definitely looking at Dallo as an option there. Almost done with our midweek fixtures. Spurs are they're so Spursy.
They
Why do you
90th
rock up
minute as well, just by the way. So I didn't think there's much to talk about yet, to be honest. It's sad that Solanke's been doing nothing. I think if Solanke was at Bournemouth, he would have more points than if he was at Spurs, and that's a bit of a
I
shitty thing to say,
agree.
but I think it's the truth. As far as everything else goes, like, I mean, Son didn't do anything in the last minute. Their subs were doing it. Brennan Johnson coming in to score that late winner.
I would
Stay
say
away from Spurs for now, I think.
stay away. Only person I would say that I think still is worth having is Pedro Barro.
Yeah.
For the attacking
Again,
returns.
he didn't start. He didn't start, so he's playing this weekend.
Lekker. And then this game here involved two teams that we're looking closely at. Wolves are in better form, but looking at the Brighton lineup, because I know we're expecting goals from them. Is there anything there that gives you any hope?
Welbeck came on in the last 30 minutes, so that means he might feature this weekend. Pedro didn't play at all, so I think he's ready to start this weekend. Good form for Madringa getting the goal. Keep an eye on him. He was the budget pick of last year, so maybe he might turn into that budget player this year. But again, I think for people that have Pedro and Welbeck, you're smiling. They didn't really feature. They're not injured. Everything looks good, so they're willing to start this weekend.
There are a lot of people that have Haaland flanked by two Brighton strikers. There's a lot of people I've seen with teams like that.
Yeah, so I wouldn't worry about those for now.
So
speaking of Haaland, I was going to say, speaking of Haaland, did we captain him this week?
I think that we should definitely consider captaining Salah.
There is the point, because this week is going to be all about, do you captain Haaland? Do you captain Salah? And I agree with you. I would shift the captaincy armband for the first time in game week history of the 2024-25 season to Salah. I think it's Salah. I just think it's going to be him.
So basically what you're saying is that you trust Arsenal's defense
to hold Haaland back. Haaland will score, guys. Haaland is going to score. It's not about him not scoring. He's not going to blank. He might, but he's going to get a goal.
He's going to get a hat trick, is he?
For goodness sake. He might, and then he'll dedicate it to his friend that passed away. So sorry, Haaland, but like I'm sure that's what he was trying to do against was it Brentford last weekekend? Yeah, he just couldn't get that third goal. Very unlucky though, but he was very close to getting a hat trick.
He hit the post. He did everything, man. It was almost there. Liverpool versus. So you're saying Salah captain versus Bournemouth?
Salah's like 65% for me at the moment. I think it's going to just stay on Salah. But currently in my team, I've got Salah as captain and I've got Cole Palmer as my vice.
You're not even going to vice Haaland. The disrespect. The absolute disrespect. Let me just... So is there any outside captain choices we have before we round out our captain segment?
I would have said Ollie Watkins because they're playing Wolves at home, and he scored last week in the Premier League, and then he got an assist this midweek. But with his little bit of a knock, I don't think he's going to be a viable pick. Other than Salah, you could go Diaz, because they're both same picture, and I wouldn't go Jota, so I would say Diaz if you have him. If you don't have Salah, kind of a thing.
Just listen to this. If it wasn't for last week, I would have said Brighton versus Nottingham Forest. Man, I'm shaking if I'm
I
Forest.
know.
I'm
I'm looking at it and I'm like, Forest is cracked.
Liverpool lost to Forest at home. Like Forest was away. Brighton are going to Forest now. I mean, Brighton are at home as well.
Yeah,
now.
Forest are going to Brighton.
And
Yeah.
last week, I would have told you before the Liverpool game, I would have said, like, Forest are going to get eaten. Now, I'm scared Forest is going to destroy Brighton.
Forest by the sea. They're going to go to Brighton for a nice beach holiday and come back with a victory. So,
yeah,
there we go.
So just talking about players that you are looking forward to.
Yeah,
right?
a little bit of a watch list that we're going to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we spoke a little bit about Aston Villa, so I'll start there. There are 4 players that we want to look at, right? And I want you to tell me your rundown of them. We've been speaking off air about Luca Dean. What do you think?
Yeah, in our WhatsApp group. Very good pick. Very, very good pick, I think. Got his haul. I didn't say haul, but I mean, as far as defenders go last week, it was a haul. So he got his points. I went with Konsa. As soon as you and Ridwan spoke about Ding, I was like, you bastards, you absolute bastards. I don't know why I didn't think about it. I think he's a great pick. He's going to do the same thing.
4.5.
Yeah.
Now it's 4.6.
Yeah, he's already rose. So tough luck for me. I've got Konsa. But for those that have Ding, good stuff. If you're going to play a wild card and move on to Aston Villa, which I think you should because of the fixtures, Ding is a shout.
Tell me something. The definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
So Rogers.
Are you going to keep Rogers? Because he's black.
So we've got insane, is what you're saying. We've basically got mad.
Rogers?
I'm keeping Rogers. I'm keeping Rogers. I'm a psychotic inbred. No, I'm not inbred. Bro.
This season you're gonna be in a hospital.
I know. I'm gonna be in the mental asylum because if I'm gonna do FPL. Rogers. Keep Rogers. Keep Rogers. I mean, they played Wolves at home. You can't not keep Rogers. Like, seriously.
I'll say this, okay? Like, he is. Everyone knows this. He's a good player.
Mm-hmm.
He looks amazing on the field.
Mm-hmm.
You would want him in your team, but not your FPL team at this point because he's not doing anything.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't jump to him. I would jump to Onana if I was moving.
Yeah, if you didn't have Rogers before and you want Aston Villa, go Onana.
But keep Rogers for your wild card or mini wild card, like I know you're planning. Till then. Duran, we've spoken about that, the whole Duran-Watkins dynamic.
Fruit. Nah.
Right?
Yeah. Because of Watkins' little ankle scare or injury, don't think he might start. If anything, he starts and plays for half an hour, 60 minutes, maybe less, and then Duran comes on. It's tough because he's such a good player. Duran's such a good player, but you can't bring him in your team because Watkins just going to start. Had he been at like Wolves or Brentford or something like that, like I'd say 100% bring him in. But yeah,
I think that if Watkins has got even a slight injury concern with his ankle being on ice, I feel like if you wanted to take a risk, go for Duran this week. Not a bad one. Now, I know there's a player you've been thinking about and a player that I'm thinking about, Mbeumo. In or out?
Yes. In. Definitely in.
Have you got him in your team?
I don't have him in my team because I have too many Brentford players.
Would you?
I've got 2 Brentford goalkeepers and Wiesler. So.
Would you be upset if Mbeumo or balls this week?
Yes.
Yeah, he's definitely
straight up.
But you see, I'm just telling you now that you're going to bring Mbeumo in now, and he's going to blank. And this was exactly what happened.
And I won't bring him in.
An injury and a red card, and then they disappeared for the rest of the season.
So is Mbeumo getting a red card this week? That's what we should be talking about. Oh my That's the real goss right there.
I think that you have to start investing in Arsenal's defense. Saliba and Gabriel proved.
Yeah, Gabriel, well done.
Like, it proved. Like, honestly, I'm actually looking at Raya. I think it's time. It's time to move to that premium goalkeeper and lock in those clean sheet points for Arsenal because they're not taking any prisoners with their defending line. I would trust their defense. I don't like.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this as well. Unlikely, but if it's a goalless draw against City this weekend, I make my changes that weekend. Even if it's 1-0 or 1-1, like I still make those changes because it just shows that City are the best goal scoring team in the Premier League. If Arsenal can keep them out, why don't you have them in your team? So,
yeah, and for me, Raya's the cheapest option you can get for that defense.
Bro, we worked it out because you were like telling me Trent was a mistake, and I'm leaning to believe that. Other than he's a little bit of a haul, but even though he was getting those points, if I had Gabriel and Raya, I'd be getting double the points that I would have had if I had Trent. If I
Yeah.
downgrade Trent, I can afford Gabriel and Raya. So what am I doing? You know? So I think
Yeah, do
it's
it.
time.
I think you already told me your mini wildcard plan there.
Yeah, well, there we go. There we go.
You sent me some research on this already. Tell me quickly about uh, Calvin Lewis versus Vardy. Why are you
PCL,
looking at
yeah.
them?
So I was looking at him after because I watched the Everton game, and like he scored. He missed a lot of chances, which was a bit concerning. But if anyone just goes to his fixtures right now, I'm gonna. It, it's I've never seen as much green before. It's like um, his fixtures from Gameweek 5 all the way through to Gameweek 14 is just green, like, and he's on form. So I know we say on this channel fixture over form, form over fixture. Yes. However, if you got fixture and form,
Bro, I've never seen a run like that.
I'm gonna just pull my screen over for you. I'm recording on my screen, so you guys can see this quickly. Look at this. Just have a look at that. Crazy.
The
Absolutely
luminous
crazy.
green is destroying my
I feel like
retinas.
I'm gonna get sick. It's disgusting. It's honestly mental.
Oh, but the downside here is that it's Everton, and the downside also is carrying a bit of a knock right now.
Yeah. So which is what lead me to maybe Vardy. Again, I'm gonna quickly pop this up on my screen for you. Other than the Arsenal fixture, pretty much similar boat. Absolute green. And
Bloody
he's
hell.
firing. And he's firing. So for that Wisa placement, I think the common move is going to be Wisa out, Vardy or DCL in, and then putting Mbeumo in your midfield. I think that's
Okay,
going to
but
be the
now
play.
choose which one are you
Which
favoring?
one do I
Vardy
favor?
or DCL?
You know,
I know who I
Vardy is
favor.
just Premier League pedigree because he always just scores, right? And based off of that and the money that I can save, I would say Vardy. As tasty
Vardy
as
all the
DCL
way.
is,
Vardy
it's got to be
all
Jamie
the
Vardy.
way. DCL's injured, and that's the problem with him. He's going to be injured.
He's injury
You think
prone. Yeah.
he's got that whole green run? I bet you won't even play.
Half.
It's like, okay, he'll play at least half. Maybe he won't make 75, like 75% of them he might play. He's not 30% of those matches he ain't going to play in because he's injury concerned. So for me, Vardy doesn't miss a game. He lives on Red Bull. He bleeds Red Bull.
He's cheap. He's cheaper than DCL as well. He's gonna save you 0.4, 0.3, depending if you're bringing him for Wisa.
I would say
I think Vardy.
after that the game week 7 and between game week 7 and 8, when I feel like a lot of people are going to play their wild card, Vardy's price is probably going to be 5.8, 5.9, and that's probably where we're going to be looking to bringing him in.
Yeah.
In that wild card territory over there. And the last thing we'll talk about, we'll end it off with our sensitive subject. What do you think about Chelsea this weekend? What do you think about their fixtures and their FPL?
Get in, lads. No. For some reason, a 1-0 win to Bournemouth away felt just as good as a 6-2 win against Wolves, if you know what I mean.
Only in the last minute, the whole game
like
felt
it was bad.
rubbish.
It was bad. But I'll say this from a Chelsea perspective. Having Sancho come on and Nkunku, like, yes, Nkunku, they could say he's lucky to get the ball around the defenders. However, he finished. Like, he's a finisher, which is why we bought him. So he should be playing. Does Nkunku now start next game? And does he play in the 9 role? I think he does.
Not.
I think he does. I know for FPL, but from a Chelsea perspective, I think he needs to. Like, you can't, again, it's that thing of not rewarding a player who won you the game. You can't not start him. And I think Jackson could use a bit of a break, a bit of a sideline rest to think like, oh, damn, my position is actually under threat. Because it's not Cole Palmer's fault. I mean, it is, but it's not Nkunku's fault that Cole Palmer's as perfect as he is in the number 10 role. So he can't play there. We already have 1,500 wingers, as people like to let us know.
And we don't have a backup striker.
So maybe he plays number 9. And that leads me to believe that he's going to be one of those jotters that are midfielder, priced reasonably well, 6.4 now, that's going to be playing a number 9. So something definitely to look
I'd like
out
to
for.
see this happen over a couple of game weeks.
Yeah,
to
I
be
agree.
Sure.
I agree. I want to see 2-3 game weeks. Give him a couple of weeks to prove it, and for Chelsea to prove as well that they are actually not the same old Chelsea that they were from last season. That they're a new Chelsea, and that's why it excites me that they can come away with a win away from home, because it's a snatch and grab. It's fine, but that's how you win games. You keep a clean sheet, you get 1 goal, and you win the Premier League. Like, that's how you do it. So
yeah, Sanchez at the back hauling me.
Big up. I never thought I'd be praising Sanchez ever. the first 3 weeks of Premier League.
Even though we support Chelsea, just a heads up on FPL for me. The reason why I want to look at Chelsea this week if it was doing transfers. They did not play a game week fixture this midweek.
So they are the
They are
most fresh team.
one of the few teams to have a complete rest, but they are playing a London rival in West Ham, which has, in my experience, seemed to turn up. West Ham, because it's
They
a
show up.
London derby,
They
they
show up.
turn up and the game is
And it's
feisty.
at West Ham as well. So
So, like, and just saying,
if they can
keep
win
an
this
eye on
fixture
Chelsea.
as well and keep a clean sheet, then it's something to really consider. If they just win like 2-1, it's still like, okay, Nkunku, Jadon Sancho, what are we doing? Like, are we cooking with this midfield? Like, are we going to look at these assets instead of Palmer? Because we said this earlier, Palmer's getting marked out of the game. And teams are going to do this for him. So he's not going to be as high returning as he was last year. Because people
He's
didn't
still a
know
good
that
player
yet.
to have, but not a 10.5 plus.
No. So does that
So-
mean Nkunku for Palmer? We'll have to just evaluate.
Bro, spitting your fire. Yeah.
I think we should end on that bombshell there. But yeah. And then just to top it off, in case you missed it, Salah captain for me this week. Mike shares the same sentiment. So yeah, good luck for this week. If you're playing your wildcards, check out our video. I'm sure you'll find something from it. If you're not, keep banking transfers so you can keep up with Mikyle when he plays his wildcard, because that's what I'm doing.
This is rubbish strategies here, getting me out of the game, choking me like a devil snake.
But otherwise, may the points be ever in your favor as per usual. Don't let the game week 3 or game week 4 knock you too hard. It is what it is. It's the game. Game's the game. So we move on.
It's a marathon.
And Liverpool's going to haul. So there we go. Salah's going to haul. So have a good week, and we'll see you guys next week.
Cheers, guys. Bye.